Hi guys, welcome to another one of my everyday makeup videos. Today we've got some Chanel and Dior, some Clé de Peau, and I've also been using a new eyebrow pencil over the last about 3 or 4 weeks. So all my skincare is done, with the last step being my sunscreen. So for the primer today, the foundation that I'm going to use is one that's more suited for me in wintertime, like it is here in New Zealand at the moment. Those of you that haven't seen my other videos, I am 53 years old and I have oily skin. So the primer that I'm going to use today is the Dior. It's the Forever Velvet Veil one. I reviewed this when this first came out and I really like this primer. I think it is really lovely. It gives a really beautiful base. It looks like it has a little bit of a tint to it, but really once you rub it in, you don't really see it at all. But I do like that it gives some blurring to my pores, and it's just a really lovely base. And I've used it with probably not all of my foundations because I have a lot of them, but I have used it with the majority of the foundations that I have, and it works well with them all. So just going to put this on, and then I usually let my primer sit for about a minute before I put my foundation on. And just before I put my foundation on, I'm just going to use a colour corrector. I've been using this now for the last few weeks and I really like it. This is the NARS one, and I really love the little applicator that comes with it, because when it comes to colour correction, you really don't need to put a lot on at all. And this one is in the shade, this is in medium. And for my foundation today, I'm going to use the Chanel. This is the Beiges. This is the Healthy Glow Foundation. I think this is in shade, this is in B30, but everything that I'm putting on my face today I will have listed and linked in the description box below, just in case I don't mention a shade. Now this is a really beautiful foundation, and as I was saying at the beginning of the video, I have oily skin, so this is quite a hydrating foundation. As it says, it is Healthy Glow Foundation. It is also called the Hydration and Long Wear, so you do get a glow. This is one that I can also wear in the summer, but there's a bit more fussing around with it, so it doesn't go from beyond that lovely glow to starts to look a bit oily. But I have been using this over the past about 3 or 4 weeks, and I've worn it a lot, even having to wear a mask when I had to go into the hospital, not me, but to go and see someone over the past 2 or 3 weeks, and it has worn really, really beautifully. So I'm just going to put just 1 pump on the back of my hand. That is normally enough. So you can see that it's a little bit runny. I love the finish that this gives. It is really beautiful. And I also really love the fragrance in it as well. It's that typical Chanel fragrance, but I think it smells really lovely. So I'm going to use a beauty sponge. This is the rephr one that I've been using now probably for past couple of months. This was gifted to me from rephr, and it is a beautiful soft sponge. It also washes really well. Each time, or nearly each time, I've been using a beauty blender to put on my foundation, I have been using this sponge. So I've washed it a lot, and yeah, it washes really well, and I think it applies makeup really beautifully. So when I initially put this on, it's sort of more towards a light medium. I'm just going to take a little bit more and just put it over those bits, just where I want a little bit more coverage, and I'm just going to tap that in. It does build really beautifully, and you can get, if you want to build it up, you can get a solid medium from it. So I could build this foundation up a little bit more if I wanted to, but I quite like this finish. It's more towards that light heading towards medium, and you can still see some of my skin through the foundation, which I like, especially when you're doing a face with a lot of the Chanel Beiges. I think that is it's a really lovely natural type of look. Now the reason why I can wear a foundation like this with my oily skin in the winter time is because when it's later autumn and winter and early spring, it's not as hot, there is less humidity. And even though my skin is still oily, it's not as oily as it is in summer. And that's why I do like having quite a few different type of foundations. I've got soft mattes, matte foundations, and a few more of these foundations that give a glow. Because when it comes to this time of the year, now that it's winter here in New Zealand, it's nice to be able to use a different type of foundation. But I think it gives a really beautiful look to my skin. Now for concealer today, I'm going to use the Dior Forever Skin Correct, and this is the reformulated one. I've spoken about it before, and with the older formula, I do have it in that, but I didn't really like it very much for under my eyes. I thought it was a little bit thick, but with this new formula, I think it is absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know whether it would be exactly the same as the Chanel Sublimage that I absolutely love, but it's very, very close, and it's a concealer that I reach for a lot. So initially I'm just going to take the BK Beauty Anti-Hot and Flashy brush and just blend it through, and then I finish it off just by tapping over it with my fingertip. So before I powder under my eyes, I always do my eyebrows next. Now, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Victoria Beckham Beauty reached out to me and asked if I would like to try out their new BabyBlade. That's the eyebrow pencil. And of course, I said yes. And I asked for the shade in light brown. So I've been using this nearly every single day since I got it. So at least 2.5 weeks. I really love this pencil. I'll talk about it more when I do a video. I'm going to do a video with a near full face of Victoria Beckham, but I really like it. And those of you that have watched lots of my other videos know that I really love the Chanel eyebrow pencil as well. This is just as good as that. I really love it. Has really gorgeous sturdy packaging. The spoolie on the end is really robust, and it does a great job at just tidying out the eyebrows first before I put the pencil on. The pencil itself is quite small and it's slanted, and it goes on, it's quite creamy, but it also lasts really well. Now I think the shade in light brown that I asked for is really good. I also think the shade, which would be quite good for me, would be the one in taupe. But I am really happy with it. I like how it's very natural. I don't like to make my eyebrows look like that solid look. Really, I just like to tidy them up a bit. Just fill in any little gaps that are there, but still keep them really natural looking. And I think this does a really good job of that. And like I was saying, this is really long wear too. So once I've got it on, and there has been some days, not this week, but the last couple of weeks, where I was wearing my makeup anywhere up to about 16, sometimes even more hours in the day. And this just lasted the whole time. I still use my brow gel over the top, but this just makes them look really natural. It's lovely to put on. And I am going to be buying backups of this. I think it's really good. I won't stop using the Chanel eyebrow one, but I'm going to use this one as well. So when I talk about the packaging being really robust, it has a little bit of weight to it. It is quite slim, but there is a little bit of weight. And I'll compare it to, I've never really tried a lot of eyebrow pencils, but one that I used to use probably a couple of years ago, and I think I still have one in my drawer here, I need to throw it out. It's the Anastasia Beverly Hills one. And I found that the spoolie on those used to come out, the plastic used to break, and it's quite light. So this is a lot more of a luxury type of packaging. As I said, it's heavier and far more robust than, say, something like the Anastasia Beverly Hills one. So, as I said, I still use eyebrow gel with it. At the moment, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills one. So I just go over lightly just to set my eyebrows in place. And I've just put some eyeshadow primer on and lightly powdered under my eyes. But before I powder my face, I'm going to bronze first, and I'm going to use this was the limited edition. This is the Chanel Le Beiges. This is the travel size Healthy Glow bronzer in the new formula, which I really love. And this is in the shade medium. And the last few times I've been using it, because I have used it quite a bit, I've been putting it on using a beauty sponge, and I quite like how that goes on. I think it goes on really well with the beauty sponge. I also find you can put this on just using your fingers, or if you prefer a brush. All the ways work really well with this bronzer. I think it works well whether it's a sponge, a brush, or your fingertips. It's really just how you prefer to put the bronzer on. I'm not going to go in too heavy with it. I'm just going to give a fairly light layer. It is my everyday type of makeup video. So normally I just go in fairly light, especially since it's winter here. But also in the summertime, it's quite nice just to give a touch of that healthy type of glow without going too heavy. And then I'm just going to lightly powder over the top of the foundation, and this is the Chanel the Natural Finish Loose Powder. This is in the shade 30. So I'm just going to grab a brush. I'm going to get the BK Beauty. This is the 105. As I said, I'm not going to use a lot of powder. Just put a little bit in the cap, tap the brush in, and just do a very light tap over. Now, if I was wearing this foundation in more warmer months, then I would be using quite a bit more powder so that it stayed looking better for a lot longer. But because it is cooler now, I really just need just a tiny amount just to set it down. And the thing with oily skin, when you powder and it takes away, if you like, the look of the glow, but know that it's not going to last unless you powder. When I do powder down, like now it looks more matte, but in about another 15 or 20 minutes, probably 30 minutes at the most, that glow does come back, but you've still got the powder on just to make that foundation last. But even with the powder over the top now, I do think the foundation, powder over the top, gives a really lovely finish. And for eyeshadow today, I'm going to use a Chanel quad. And this is the Tissé, this is the Rivoli. So I'm just going to take the couple of applicators that come with that, because I'll just use some Chanel brushes today. This is a really gorgeous quad, and I actually only picked it up probably only about 6 or 8 weeks ago now, but over the last 2 or 3 weeks I have been reaching for this quad quite a bit. It's definitely my type of everyday shadows. So I'm going to take the Chanel brush. The brushes that I'm using, they're both going to be Chanel brushes, and they are also listed in the description box as well. So I'm going to start off with this shade here, and I'm going to take that all over the lid. I think that this is a really easy quad to use. I think it is pigmented, but it's not in your face type of pigmented. But the thing that I love about shadows like that is I always find them, they are a little bit easier to use. You can sort of do quicker eye looks with them. But I love the colour story of this. I think it is really beautiful. And sometimes, today I'll use all 4 shades, but the last couple of times that I've used this, I've just gone in with this shade here, or this one, and then used this as an eyeliner, and that's been it with some mascara, and that has looked really beautiful as well. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit more of that shade. I just want to blend it through and just bring it up just a little bit through there. And then I'm going to get next, I'm going to go into this shade here, and I'm just going to flip the brush over to the other side, go into here, and I'm going to just put this through the crease. So this is the type of eye look, especially when I have a quad, that I do quite a lot on my videos, and often this is what I do for my everyday makeup as well, unless I was saying I'm just using a couple of shades. This is the eye look that I think is probably the most flattering for me. I do try others. Sometimes, I haven't done it for a while, and I do a look with the darker shade out here and in here, and the lighter in the middle. So you get sort of a soft type halo look, and I do like that as well. It's just that this type of shadow placement for me, it just tends to work, and I always think stick with what works. But I do try other looks every now and then, because you can sort of get into habits as well, and sometimes not realizing that eyeshadows done another way can look really good as well. So I'm going to put that same shade, I'm going to put some under my lower lash line that I just put through the crease. So this is the other Chanel brush, and just use the side, and I'm just going to sweep some under my eye. Then I'm just changing back to this brush and going to go into this darker shade here. And I'm just going to start off with this and just tap some of this in the outside corner. And I'll use the other side of the brush to blend it out in a minute, but I just want to pack on, just get a little bit more pigment out of this deep colour. So I'll just do the same on the other side. Just pack it in, and I'll blend it out in a minute. So then I just flip the brush over to the more fluffier side, and I'll just blend that out. I do like to soften my eyeshadows when I bring them up here. I don't really like too much of a harsh line, and often once I've got my mascara on, I'll take a clean fluffy brush and just go over it just very lightly, just to make sure that it is all softened out. And then I'm staying with that dark colour, and I want to put some of this on my lower lash line as well, just to about probably the outer half, just through to here. And then just flip that brush around, because it has more of a flat brush here and a bit more dense. And I'm just going to go into this lighter shade and just tap that through here, and I'll take a little bit through here as well, and I'll put some also on the lower lash line as well. So the other day when I used this quad, I used the darker shadow to line my eyes, so that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm just going to take this Chukuhodo brush, just is quite short, the hair length, it's dense, but it's also soft as well, and it's great for using eyeshadow as eyeliner. And I have another Chukuhodo brush, fairly similar as well. So I'm just going to take a setting spray. I've got the Dior Forever Perfect Fix, and I'm just going to spray the brush, and then I just give it just a slight tap on my microfiber cloth in front of me, just to get off any excess that might be there. And we'll dip that into the shadow and pop some on, and I thought it worked really, really well. So I do like using an eyeshadow for an eyeliner. One, it's easier to take off at the end of the day when you're removing all your makeup instead of having eyeliner. And I also find that I just seem to be able to have more control than an eyeliner pencil. I mean, with an eyeliner pencil, I can always smudge it out, but for some reason, it's probably because of the brushes, but when I use an eyeshadow, I just seem to have more control, And I would love to be able to use an eyeliner, a pen. And I think I tried a couple of years ago with one. I can't even remember the brand it was. I didn't have much luck with it, but I might pick up another one and give it a go, because when I see people do videos and they use eyeliner pens, I always think how good it looks. So maybe it's time to pick one up. I've heard the Tom Ford one's very good, so maybe if I can get my hands on that, pick that up and do some practicing with it. And for blush today, I'm going to use a Peau one. I just love these cream blushes. So I picked up another two just recently. I bought two, I think it was last year, and I just think the formula of these is outstanding. So last time I did an order at Harrods, because we can't get Peau here in New Zealand, but last time I did an order at Harrods, I picked up another two shades. I just think it is really beautiful. So initially I'm just going to tap some on, just using my finger. And I only really want just a hint of blush. Sometimes I say that and I get a little bit carried away. And then I'm just going to, I'll get a clean area of my beauty sponge here and just tap it out. But I just want just a little bit, just a flush of colour. These blushes go on great. You could just keep tapping it out with your finger if you wanted to. I also use the Sonia G, the Fusion brushes. They work really well with the cream blushes, but I quite like just tapping it out sometimes with a beauty sponge, especially when I just want more of a light look. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on the other side. I can always add a little bit more if I want to, and again just tap it out. But I think that these blushes are super flattering on mature skin. I think they give a gorgeous soft look. And for lipstick, I'm going to use two Dior products. First of all, I'm going to use the Dior Forever lipstick. This is the matte one, and this does not budge. Now, I don't find it too drying. I think this is a really good matte formula, but really how I like to wear them is I pop this on and then pop either on a gloss over the top or one of the Dior Addict Lip Maximizers. I think together they are really beautiful. So first of all, I'm just going to pop on the lipstick, and then I am going to put on a shade of the Dior Addict Maximizer. Now, I talked about the lip maximizers in my favorites video that I put up a couple of days ago and how much I love them. I think I have about 8 of these now. I think they are just such a beautiful product. I always have 1 or 2 in my handbag. I think that they are just such a gorgeous formula. And I either wear them by themselves or just pop them over the top of other lipsticks as well. You can use it to enhance the lipstick or even slightly change the shade. And I think that the final look is really lovely. If I was going out for the day, in my bag I also have a smaller makeup bag, and there's about 4 or 5 products that I always take with me. And one of them is, it's a finishing powder, and it's a pressed powder because they're easy to carry with you. And I have the Hermes one, and I also have the Dolce & Gabbana one. I'm not going to put on any now because I don't think I need to, but if I was going out, I'd have them in there with something like the Sonia G, it's the smooth buffer, just so I can pop a little on throughout the day if I start to get a little bit of shine. But at this stage, that beautiful glow of the foundation has come back, but I think it just makes my skin look really healthy. I think the foundation is really flattering on my mature skin, and I think it gives a really beautiful, really natural look. I love the eyebrow pencil. As I said, I'll be using it again in lots more videos because I am definitely going to be buying a backup of that eyebrow pencil from Victoria Beckham Beauty. I love how it applies, and I also love how it lasts as well. The Chanel Quad is just beautiful. What a gorgeous colour story. I don't think these type of colour stories are boring at all. I think they're really beautiful, and there's quite a few neutral type of shades coming up in new products coming up, and I am going to do a will I buy it video, so I'll talk about it then. But I love nude eyeshadows. I think that they are just so gorgeous and just universally flattering on everyone. I think they're really beautiful. The Peau blush, these cream blushes are just absolutely gorgeous. You can certainly build it up, but just with today's look, I just wanted just a slight flush on the cheeks, and I think that looks really pretty with this natural eye look. And I do really like these matte lipsticks from Dior. I think that they last really well, and I used this about 2 or 3 times over the last 2 weeks or so when I had those really long days. I did use other lipsticks as well because I do have quite a big collection and I don't like to waste too many things, so I do try and rotate through my collection, but this is really good for the staying power. But I really love the Dior Addict Lip Maximizers over the top. I just think they give a really beautiful gloss, and they are just super easy to apply, and that's always why I keep 1 or 2 shades in my handbag. They are just super handy. And when the gloss does wear off, at least with a matte lipstick underneath like this one, you still have a stain on your lips. Until next time, you can just reach into your handbag and just pop the gloss over the top. I think together they just look really, really lovely. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.